Hi, everyone, and welcome to Data Engineers Lunch number 39. Today, we have junior engineer Anant Stefan Nikolovsky presenting on Dapr Cloud. The organizers for this event are Rahul Singh, Arpan Patel, and myself, Josh Barnes. And we're always looking for speakers and sponsors. So if you want to reach out to Arpan or myself via email, that'll probably be best. At this, if there's any sort of topics that you are interested in learning about, creating a demo and presenting on, definitely reach out to one of us and we can get you slotted to present. Great for self-promotion and that sort of thing. We are part of a larger community. Data Community DC is an inclusive community, so we support and celebrate people from all races, genders, sexual orientations, and expect tolerance and respect to be given to all of the protected classes. You can find out more about Data Community DC at their blog, as well as more events related to Data Community DC as well, listed there. What we cover, oops, I'm going backwards now. What we cover here is data engineering, all topics related to data engineering. So sources, ETL, technologies that we can use to make our lives easier or leverage to, create new systems. So no topic related to data engineering is really off limits here. Again, keep that in mind if presenting is something you'd be interested in doing. This is a point in the presentation where we like anyone new who this is their first time being here to kind of unmute, introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about what they do with data. I do see some new faces. I won't force anyone, but I'll give you guys a chance to unmute and say hello.
Yeah. Hello, everyone.
Hey, Isaac.
Yeah, how you doing? I'm very happy to be here today, and it's such a nice time with you guys. And I'm into data engineering, and I like to solve data problems. So yeah, I'm here to learn more about data engineering, and looking forward to what to learn. Thank you.
Awesome. Thanks, Isaac. Would anyone else like to share before we move on?
Hi, everyone. My name's Colby, and yeah, I'm new. Pretty similar to Isaac. I have had limited experience in data engineering, just kind of doing some basic SQL, and I'm interested in learning more about what data engineering entails. And so this is a great way to learn more about it and meet folks who are doing this in industry and others.
Awesome. Thanks, Colby. And it looks like Mohammed, also, you can feel free to. I can't hear you if you're speaking. I do see your hand raised and you're unmuted. You there?
Actually, something is wrong with my microphone, I think. Can
There
you
we
hear me
go.
now?
I can hear you now. Yeah.
Yeah, there's something wrong with the speakerphone. Anyways, so I'm actually joining in from Dubai. So I'm a part of a family business here. And my primary is finance accounting background, but recently I finished a data science program with Indian University. But then I later found out that there's a lot of importance in data engineering in order to also understand data science. And so I thought of joining you guys to learn more about data engineering before I get into some course later on. That's the whole idea.
Awesome. Thanks for being here. We're happy to have you. And yeah, every Monday, definitely tune in to learn a little bit more about data engineering. All right, I'll move on with the presentation. Thanks, Mohammed. So group rules, if you have a question, please ask it. Be polite and courteous to others. And this is meant to be a discussion. So feel free to share what you know. If at some point in time the speaker wants to have like an open discussion, definitely feel free to chime in, help answer questions in the chat, that sort of thing. Here tonight, we deal with real-time data platforms. So we work with data engineering a lot, architecting for our clients. DataStax is a partner, as well as George Washington University. Some of the other sponsors listed here. If you would like to become a sponsor, you could kind of have your shout out done here as well. Some of the organizational sponsors to Data Community DC are listed here. And 15-second announcements. Does anyone have any jobs, meetups, hackathons, anything like that coming up that they'd like to share? Doesn't seem like it, so we'll move on. Our plug here, we are always hiring here tonight for full-time or part-time positions, 100% remote if needed. Data platform operators, engineers, and architects. You can find out more at careers.anant.us. And some upcoming events that we have. This particular webinar is every Monday at noon Eastern time, and we have a sister webinar called Cassandra.Lunch with all topics related to the Cassandra NoSQL database system. Some upcoming topics here, I'll be speaking on streaming real-time versus batch for ETL. And then we will also be covering akka serverless. And that is the conclusion of the intro. I'll go ahead and pass it off to Stefan, and we can learn more about Dapr.
Thank you, Josh. All right, let me just share my screen. All right, so today's presentation is just going to be like kind of an introduction to Dapr. Kind of like a basically application that we're going to run through in the demo. Later on, there will be a part 2 integrating Cassandra into it. But for now, it's just like a very basic introduction. So Dapr codifies the best practices for building microservices applications into open, independent building blocks that enable you to build portable application with the language or framework of your choice. Each building block is completely independent, and you can use one, some, or all of them in your application. In the demo, we have Node and Python, but you can see there's a lot of microservices written in other languages that we can use. It uses HTTP API and gRPC API to connect to the microservices, and we'll take a look at them later. Of course, we can also like host them online, Microsoft Azure, AWS, Kubernetes, all of that good stuff. So the microservice, there are many considerations when architecting microservices applications. Dapr provides the best practices for common capabilities when building microservice applications that developers can use in a standard way and deploy to any environment. It does this by providing distributed system building blocks. Each of these building blocks is independent, meaning that you can use one, some, or all of them in your application. So there are a couple of them. So service to service, invocation, state management, publish and subscribe, a resource, binding, and triggers. We have actors, observability, and secrets. There's also Dapr exposes its HTTP and gRPC APIs as a sidecar architecture, either as a container or as a process, not requiring the application's code to include any Dapr runtime. This makes integration with Dapr easy from the other runtimes, as well as providing separation of the application logic for improved supportability. There are 2 ways that you can host Dapr. So one is self-hosted, which means locally on Docker, and the other one is on Kubernetes. So you can see here the difference. So in self-hosted mode, Dapr runs as a separate sidecar process, which your service call via HTTP or gRPC. Each running service has a Dapr runtime process or sidecar, which is configured to use state stores, pub, sub, bindings, components, and other building blocks. In correlation to this, in Kubernetes, this is all done in one place. So the Dapr sidecar injector and Dapr operator services provide first-class integration to launch Dapr as a sidecar container in the same pod as the service container and provide notification of Dapr component updates provisioned in the cluster. The Dapr Sentry service is a certificate authority that enables the manual TLC between Dapr sidecar instances. So for our demo today, I will be presenting, which is hosted locally on Docker. So, so let's take a look at that. This is when you install the Docker CLI. You basically just run 3 containers on your Docker, and these are the 3 containers which you would need to then launch your application into Dapr. So if we just go and write in Dapr, we can see some information about it. We can see, so I'm currently using 1.3.0, which I believe is the latest. So what we'll do right now is, before we start this application, just a few clarifications in the code. Sorry about that. You guys can see the code, but this is here the Dapr port, which the application will live in. So the API, this is the state store name, pretty self-explanatory, and then the state URL, which will be called to send and get some information, right? It's basic. If you guys are familiar with Express, it's basically an Express application that we launch in Dapr, right? So in order to do that, give me 1 second. So we'll do this. All right. So let's see what we run. So we ran the application, call it Node app, on the port 3000, and then the HTTP port will be 3500, right? The application is running, and there we go, 3500. I do believe we can also use Dapr's dashboard, which we can just call out and say, okay, so this is the application where it's running. We have some basic information here. The address, like the HTTP request, is going to be localhost 3500. And then we can see the age, 32 seconds, right? This would be more useful, for example, if you're running this on Kubernetes. But for now, it's just like basic information. And let's go. Sorry. Okay, so like you said, JSON. Where is the example JSON, right? So this is a JSON file that we just invoked directly, or we can actually use the Postman to send and receive requests. So let's go, why not this one? So like we can say 44, and you see the application state changed to 44. Right, let's move on. Then after that, there is another file here, which is the Python file, which we can use, right? 1 second. Okay. So as you can see, it's just stating, this is just a application Python file that is running on top of our Node app, and we can see the state updates every second. And then we can also use the right. So we can use the API to call, check the state of the application. So we can stop that now. As I said, this is basic introduction into it, but basically later on this would be kind of like an application with a Cassandra background going into the backend, and information coming in and going out, probably transforming it in some point. And using the Dapr's microservices, you can actually do all of that in Dapr, right? So yeah, this is basically it. If anyone has any questions, make sure to ask.
I had a question. Did you look into any like use cases or companies like using this and what they use it for, that type of thing?
I think about a bunch of companies use this, like Microsoft Corporation. So I am not really exactly sure if which companies use it exactly for what, but it does look like it's a big project, and online you can find a lot of, the community is very huge, and you can find almost everything you need about this. It's just a little bit harder to get into it in the beginning, but in cloud applications.
And then I had another question. What do you think is the better way to run this, in Kubernetes altogether or in Docker is like the?
I believe this in Docker is basically if you want to run like a development environment, so you can test it out. If you run production, definitely Kubernetes, right? Because you can scale that and upload and just host it online.
Mhm. Thanks.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Stefan. Does anyone else have any questions or related to this or any other type of kind of data engineering related topics? We can make this more of a discussion at this point if there's no more questions regarding Dapr. If not, we can go ahead and give you guys time back. There's nothing more you guys would like to discuss, or any questions you have, any future topics you would like to see discussed in Data Engineers Lunch, you can let us know that. All right, otherwise we can go ahead and give you guys back some time today. You can go ahead and stop the recording.